It's Christmas Eve and we are off to do Jewish Christmas, which is going to see a movie and getting Chinese food. We're going to get sushi and we're going to see cats. So, woo! It's about 4 o'clock now. Me and Sean are back at his parents' place after going to see cats, going to get lunch, going to drive around and play Pokemon Go for a bit. So I wanted to do a full review of Cats for you guys because I feel like I need to. Spoiler alert is going to be very, very spoilery because yeah, there's a lot to talk about in this movie. So let's just talk about all of it. I did Cats in school. If you've been watching my videos for a while, you know this. And I played Victoria, so I was excited to see what they were going to do with this movie, but like didn't really have many expectations going into it because it's Cats. So let's just talk about it. There were some good elements about it, but a lot more bad elements than good elements. And I'm not trying to bash this movie at all. I'm just giving my opinions about it. So to start off with, the CGI and the makeup is pretty bad. Like, there's been a lot of reviews about it saying how bad the CGI and the makeup is, and I would have to agree wholeheartedly with that. Case in point, in the version I saw, which was not the fully edited version, you could fully see Judi Dench's hand with her ring on it, and a lot of the times like half the makeup looked like it wasn't done or it was coming off, or you could see people's full hands, so that really wasn't great. And the CGI was just a little bit weird too. I just wasn't a huge fan of the CGI. It made everything look like very robotic and weirdly animated in the way that they moved, even though I know that wasn't what it was supposed to do. It just made everything look very odd. Francesca Hayward, who played Victoria, I thought she was really good. I really liked the angle that they took of telling the story of who the cats are and what a Jellicle cat is to Victoria, and that it's like they're introducing her into the world of the Jellicle cats. I feel like that kind of helped to make it a little bit more clear, even though the story of cats is very ridiculous and not very easy to figure out. I feel like that helped for a general audience of people who aren't musical theater people. It helped to make that make a little bit more sense. Francesca Hayward was great as Victoria. She played her innocence very well, and she's also a fantastic dancer, so I was like, I'm good just watching her dance the whole time. I really like Robbie Fairchild as Munkustrap because it gave him a lot of opportunity to act and sing a lot, which I feel like I didn't get to see him in American in Paris, so I don't really know what he sounds like singing wise, but I thought he did really well. Also, his little dance features that they had throughout the entire thing, for him, I'm like, hell yeah. I think that his character was a very well realized character, and him and Victoria probably looked like the most like Cats, or like how Cats should be in the musical of Cats. Rebel Wilson as Jenny Anydots, I did not like it. I just really did not like that number at all because it felt very awkward, and it felt like they could have edited Rebel Wilson's voice more, and they didn't at all. Like, it was completely off key, and I'm surprised that they didn't edit it better. And I wasn't a huge fan of Jenny Anydots as a character in the movie. A lot of the songs didn't really pack a punch like they do in the show. So like Rum Tum Tugger is usually like this huge sexy number, or the Rum Tum Tugger is this huge sex symbol, and I feel like I personally didn't get that at all from Jason Derulo and from the movie. And also, in my opinion, Magical Mr. Mistopheles is kind of boring. Like, usually Magical Mr. Mistopheles is this like huge deal number where Mistopheles is like doing magic everywhere, but it just felt like he was very scared and didn't know how to do his magic, and it kind of defeated the point of him being called the Magical Mr. Mistopheles. My 2 favorite songs in the movie were, surprisingly, Bustopher Jones and Skimbleshanks. Bustopher Jones is not really one of my favorite songs of Cats, but in the movie I think it was very well cast because it's James Corden, so he brings a lot of fun to it. He sounded really great vocally on it as well. I think the first half of it is really great, but then it goes to a point where they go outside and they're rummaging through garbage, and I was like, this is getting a little bit weird. And then Skimbleshanks I think was the best production number of the whole movie because it was very fully realized. Like, it felt like a full-on real production number. And I also really loved that they changed it to a tap number, because Skimbleshanks usually isn't a tap number. It's about a lot more tricks and about building Skimbleshanks' train out of props and things like that, but they built it out of him being a tap dancer and starting the rhythm of the train going, and then being on an actual train and keeping the whole tap dancing going. I just thought that was really well done and a really good angle to take that in. Actually having a full tap number in with somebody who's a really good tapper. I have no idea who plays Skimbleshanks, so I thought he was really good. Like, I really love that number. Taylor Swift was fine. I'm not a Taylor Swift fan at all, so I didn't really want to like anything that she did in the movie. That's a really bad thing to say, I know. But she actually sounded like very good vocally during McCavity, but then some of the movement looked a little bit awkward, especially when they did full body shots of her. She just kind of looked very noodly, and yeah, it just didn't really fit with like the other dancers who were around her as well. It just isn't very cohesive. Like there was a lot in the beginning of her number that felt very cohesive, but then after she got down on the floor was starting to dance, especially with Idris Elba as McCavity, it felt very like all over the place. I really hated that they changed Mungo Jerry and Rumple Teaser. They completely changed the entire song rhythmically and musically. But I'm conflicted about this number because I liked how they performed it, but I hated that they changed it. Idris Elba was fine as McCavity. He didn't really do a ton in the movie. There were some weird parts with him as McCavity, but when he took off his jacket during the number McCavity, I was like, what the crap am I looking at right now? Because he looked much more normal wearing his hat and his big furry jacket that he was wearing. It was very odd that they made Growl Tiger a whole character, a whole separate character, because Growl Tiger is a character that Gus played, but then they made him into his own thing and he's like partners with McCavity. Every scene that happened on his barge, I was like, what is happening in this movie? It just felt very like contrived as a reason for where they take other people, and that McCavity was taking people out of the running to be the Jellicle choice. I was like, what? How does this make any sense? How does a Growl Tiger fit into it? How does this barge fit into it? It was just another thing that felt very contrived about the movie that I was like, I don't get it. I don't understand why. I thought Jennifer Hudson did really well as Grisabella. She didn't do her like full-on belting the entire time she was singing as Grisabella, which I really thought was a very interesting choice, and it really was only at like the big climax of the song of Memory that she like really full-on belted. So I feel like it helped bring a nuance to the song as well as to her voice, because I feel like I've always just heard her kind of belting all over the place, but this was like nice to hear her sing in a different way, and it really worked for her interpretation of Grisabella as well. Having lay twins in the movie, one was so weird because they had sneakers on the whole time, and I was trying to figure out how they fit into the movie. It wasn't like, if they were Mungo Jerry and Rumple Teaser, it would have made a lot more sense, but they weren't. So I was like, how did these two random cats wearing sneakers fit into the world of the Jellicle Ball? Because there's not another set of two cats that go together in the world of the ensemble of cats. So I was like, what is going on? And then their movement looked very, yes, it was hip hop, but it also felt very like robotic. And that's probably part of like the CGI thing that was a bit weird. And I was just like, I don't understand how their movement and how they fit into the movie. The movie got rid of a bunch of characters. I'm sorry, Demeter, completely taken out of the movie. Half the cats that are there, completely taken out of the movie. I was a bit annoyed about that because McCavity is supposed to be Bombi and Demeter singing the song together, but it was only Taylor Swift as Bombi and then Idris Elba as McCavity as well. And I was like, why are they taking out characters that help to make the harmony sound good and help to like elevate the characters in a different way? The thing that I thought was really interesting, but also like not in a good way changed, was that they changed the perspectives of how the songs were sang. So a specific example of this is Jenny Any Dots, Gumby Cat. So usually it starts off with Monkish Strap singing it, and then it has the three little chorus girls. I think it's either Demeter and two other cats, I think. And then Jenny Any Dots sings her own stuff afterwards. But the way they did in the movie, it was Monkish Strap and then fully Jenny Any Dots. And I was like, one, this takes away the gorgeous harmonies in that song, which were completely gone and I was really upset about. And two, I just didn't understand why they took that out. It just felt like when they got rid of some of the characters of the cats, they just got rid of a bunch of stuff in the music. And it felt like they were trying to, I don't know, highlight the characters in a different way, but not in a good way, because it felt like all of them were like, this is me, this is why I should be chosen as the Jellicle choice, instead of it being like, oh, all of the cats know each other in this community and they're talking about each other and trying to like lift each other up to sound good about each other. It just didn't make any sense. I was really confused. Another thing as well was that they kind of did this with Gus, but with Gus, I liked that they changed it to be only from his perspective because it felt more nostalgic. Like, yes, there is, I can't remember the cat's name who sings Gus usually at the beginning of the song, a female cat that sings it, and then he sings the rest of it when he's talking about being the fiend of the fell. But I really liked that they had Ian McKellen as Gus do the entire thing, because it felt very nostalgic and it worked better for that song than it did for Jenny Any Dots. There's a lot of weird sound mixing and levels because they kept like singling out certain voices in the ensemble stuff, and then it just sounded very odd, and I was like, doesn't really make sense, like in the naming of cats. Yes, Munkustrap is explaining things to Victoria and he should be highlighted, but the way they highlighted his voice, he sounded like he was speaking way faster than all of the other cats, and I felt like it was an echo effect, and I was like, this does not work. It doesn't feel cohesive and I don't like it. The new song that they added, I think, is called Beautiful Ghosts. It's an interesting choice. Like, it sounds good in Victoria's voice because Francesca Hayward is singing it in a very innocent way and talking about, it's kind of her story of that she got abandoned and what you see at the beginning of the movie. It doesn't sound like it fits into the world of Cats musically because it sounded so different from everything else in the show. I think it also helped to tie things together at the end because when Grisabella was chosen as the Jellicle choice, Victoria sang that her little interlude to her as well as Deuteronomy, so it kind of like helped to knit that part of the world together and like showed that Victoria was being very nice to Grisabella and bringing her in to be good with the cats. It was a little bit weird. It's a pretty song, but I was just like, I don't really know how it fits in here. Overall, it just wasn't my thing. It wasn't my favorite musical adaptation because they're usually better, and I hate to say it that way, but they usually are. So I was a bit bummed about that because I thought it was gonna be better. It's Cats, so there's a lot of things that can either go well or either go wrong. So yeah, if you saw Cats, let me know what you think about it in the comments down below as well. Yeah, it was just a very interesting movie. While I was filming that bit, I was sitting on my feet too long and now they're really numb. But now we're at Sean's parents' house for the rrest of the night and we're gonna have dinner and his brother's gonna come over and we're gonna have just like Christmas Eve here, which will be really nice, so. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Hanukkah. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asa nisim l'avoteinu, bayamim hahem b'zman hazeh.